Yella Beezy, whose real name is Maris Conway, once rode the waves of fame and fortune, but the past has finally caught up with him. The Dallas rapper, once known for his viral hits and lavish lifestyle, now sits behind bars, facing a capital murder charge for the brutal 2020 shooting of his longtime rival, Mo3, whose real name was Melvin Noble. Authorities believe Beezy played a major role in the killing, and with his sentencing looming, he may not be able to escape the ultimate penalty. His world turned upside down when cops showed up at his home on Thursday, bringing him to justice for a crime he thought he had left behind. Now, with the weight of 3 murder charges against him, Yella Beezy faces a grim reality, one that could lead to his final breath.
A manhunt is still underway after a deadly shooting along I-35 not far from the Dallas Zoo. Investigators say when the suspect walked up to the victim's car, the victim got out and tried to run away. The suspect shot him in broad daylight right there on the highway.
For years, fans speculated that the feud between Yella Beezy and Mo3 was more than just rap beef. But no one expected police to officially link Beezy to the crime nearly 4 years later. The indictment accuses Beezy of orchestrating the hit by hiring 22-year-old Con White to carry out the murder, allegedly promising him payment for the job. On the morning of November 11, 2020, Mo3 was traveling northbound on Interstate 35E near Illinois Avenue when his life was cut short in a hail of gunfire. According to reports, a suspect believed to be White chased him down and shot him multiple times before fleeing in a black Chevy Camaro. Mo3 was rushed to the hospital, but his injuries proved fatal. White was later arrested and sentenced to 9 years in federal prison on weapons charges related to the shooting, while another suspect, Devin Maurice Brown Jr., was also taken into custody. Yet for years, questions remained about who had truly ordered the hit. That question was finally answered when Dallas authorities moved against Beezy, booking him into the Dallas County Jail, where he remains held on a $2 million bond. His arrest sent shockwaves through the hip-hop world, confirming long-standing suspicions. Mo3's murder wasn't just random street violence, it was a planned execution. For Yella Beezy, this latest arrest is just another chapter in a long history of legal troubles. Even before the indictment, he had multiple run-ins with the law, including gun charges, a sexual assault allegation, and a child endangerment case. Now, with a capital murder charge on his record, he faces the possibility of never seeing the outside world again. But the streets of Dallas have a long memory, and Mo3's mother, Nicole Williams Noble, wasted no time reacting to the news. Shortly after Beezy's arrest, she took to Facebook, calling it justice and saying she could finally have peace. Her post was flooded with comments from Mo3 supporters, many of whom had been waiting years for closure. Meanwhile, Beezy carried himself like a man who believed he was untouchable. In the aftermath of Mo3's murder, he showed no signs of concern, moving as if he had nothing to do with it. Despite rumors swirling about his involvement, he never changed his ways. Instead of laying low, he continued his flashy lifestyle, flaunting stacks of money, luxury jewelry, and high-end cars on Instagram, acting as if the tragedy hadn't fazed him. Even when his name was thrown into the mix, he remained arrogant, convinced there wasn't enough evidence to take him down. When Dontrell White, one of Mo3's accused killers, was arrested, photos of him and Beezy together began circulating, raising questions about how deep their ties ran. Yet Beezy brushed it off. If anything, he seemed to taunt Mo3's supporters. At the start of 2021, he posted a video on Instagram celebrating the new year, saying he was putting his haters in the dirt, a statement many believed was a subliminal shot at Mo3 and his fans.
Hey man, new year, new blessings. You understand me? We made it a hell of a year. You understand? Anybody that ain't for you, anybody that's going against you, anybody that's got negative, you understand me, ain't bringing no positive vibe, you know, in the words of future, put that in the dark.
This wasn't just rap beef. It was a chilling display of confidence, as if Yella Beezy believed he had already won. But the walls were closing in. In February 2021, he was caught slipping when undercover officers arrested him after discovering 5 firearms and a bulletproof SUV. He was moving like a man prepared for war, yet instead of recognizing that the authorities were watching, he continued playing the game recklessly. His old rival and close friend, Trap Boy Freddy, only fueled the fire. dropping diss tracks mocking Mo3's death and making it clear that their side had no remorse. But now, with a capital murder charge hanging over his head, Yella Beezy's future looks grim. If convicted, he could face life in prison or worse. And while the streets of Dallas were dangerous, the prison system brings its own set of risks. Beezy won't just be another high-profile inmate, he'll be a marked man. Mo3's name still carries weight, and behind bars, old feuds don't just disappear. Mo3's name holds weight, and there's no telling who might be waiting to settle old scores behind bars. As Yella Beezy steps into his new reality, he'll have plenty of time to reflect on how an unnecessary feud with Mo3 led to him losing everything. The streets of Dallas weren't always divided between Yella Beezy and Mo3. There was a time when the city's rising rap stars coexisted, taking pictures together, supporting one another, and even sharing the same stages. But as fame and fortune started rolling in, so did old street politics, jealousy, and resentment. Mo3, a street-savvy artist known for his gritty storytelling, made it clear that his rapid rise in the industry had drawn unseen enemies out of the woodwork. According to him, his success brought past grudges into the rap game. Even legendary Baton Rouge rapper Boozy Badazz was pulled into the mix. At first, Boozy seemed like a neutral player, fascinated by the growing talent in Dallas. However, as tensions escalated, even he found himself caught in the crossfire of a feud that would ultimately turn deadly. Boozy took a particular interest in Mo3, appearing in vlogs with him, expressing admiration, and even collaborating on music. Chemist3 embraced the cosign, adopting the moniker Mo3 Badazz as a tribute to Boozy. Meanwhile, YellaBeezy was making strides in his own right. His street anthem Trap in Designer was generating buzz, and by the time he appeared on Say Cheese TV for an interview, he confidently listed the top rappers in Dallas, including himself, Trapboy Freddy, Go Yayo, and Lil Ron. At this point, things seemed cordial, if not outright friendly. However, as the industry spotlight grew brighter, cracks began to show. In a May 2017 Say Cheese interview, Mo3 admitted that he and YellaBeezy had a misunderstanding, but claimed it had been resolved. He explained that they met up in Dallas and squashed their issues, attributing the tension to miscommunication, possibly over a woman. YellaBeezy echoed a similar sentiment in a later interview, suggesting that a female had stirred up drama between them. But despite their words, the peace wouldn't last long. As both artists gained more notoriety, tensions between them grew. Industry insiders noted that Mo3's rapid success often put him at odds with other local artists. Things took a deadly turn on May 27, 2017, when Mo3 attended a concert at Club Phantom in Fort Worth. What was meant to be a night of celebration ended in tragedy when gunfire erupted just before 4 a.m. A 31-year-old man, Hector Wilkins, known in the streets as Lil Half, was shot in the torso and later died in the hospital. Authorities immediately suspected a gang-related killing. Not long after, Mo3 found himself behind bars following a dramatic early morning raid at his home. In a later interview with Cam Capone, he recalled the terrifying moment, reflecting on how quickly things had escalated.
I heard a knock at the door. I mean, it was just me and my son. I heard beating at the door. Boom, boom. I'm like, before I even walked to the door, it hit me. I knew. I was like, oh, okay, okay. They was gonna kick the in, so I was like, hold up. So right when I opened the door, it's AR-15, big flag light, and me and my son face.
Police charged Mo3 with aggravated assault with a deadly weapon and set his bond at $100,000. However, being behind bars didn't shake him. In a phone interview, he joked about the arrest, claiming that police treated him like a celebrity, allowing him to drive his own truck to jail and even stopping at McDonald's on the way. Despite his light-hearted demeanor, the case took a financial toll. Mo3 later revealed that he spent over $90,000 in legal fees trying to beat the charges, leaving him broke. He insisted that his arrest was based on rumors circulating on social media, but ultimately the charges were dropped due to lack of evidence. As tensions between Mo3 and his contemporaries in the Dallas rap scene escalated, comedian Roy Lee found himself caught in the crossfire. Known for his humor and unfiltered takes, Roy Lee publicly called out the ongoing beef. claiming it was Mo3 against the entire Dallas-Fort Worth area. While he often joked about the situation, his words may have gone too far. Roy Lee and Mo3 were close friends, so it wasn't surprising that Lee supported him while taking shots at his rivals. However, one person who didn't take kindly to the jokes was Yella Beezy. In a real-life interview, Roy Lee mocked Beezy's claim of being from Oak Cliff, America, and went as far as daring him to come on up so we can rob you. The blatant disrespect sparked a fight between Roy Lee and Yella Beezy at King of Diamonds nightclub in August 2017. After the altercation, Roy Lee accused Beezy and his crew of jumping him and demanded a fair one-on-one fight.
I did an interview and I was talking about, I ain't lying in the interview. You understand me? This beef ain't got nothing to do with nobody else but Yella Beezy and Roy Lee. This little boxing match ain't got nothing to do with nobody else.
In subsequent interviews, Roy Lee continued to taunt Yella Beezy, calling him a BH, questioning his Oak Cliff roots, and even threatening to involve people's mothers and grandmothers. His relentless mockery only escalated tensions, with Beezy refusing to engage in a direct fight. The feud underscored the growing animosity in Dallas's rap scene, with Roy Lee's comedic jabs adding fuel to an already volatile rivalry. In September 2018, Roy Lee was shot in the leg while sitting in a parking lot. Initially, it seemed like he would recover. He continued performing comedy shows and even posted social media videos about the shooting. However, weeks later, complications arose, and he succumbed to blood clots that had formed due to his injuries. His death sent shockwaves through the community, further deepening the divide within the Dallas music scene. Mo3 took Roy Lee's death personally. In an emotional interview with No Jumper, he showed off a chain dedicated to his fallen friend, saying, "He wasn't supposed to die like that. He was a comedian." Although no one said it out loud, many believed Yella Beezy was responsible for Lee's death. Just days later, on October 14, 2018, Yella Beezy became the target of a violent ambush that nearly took his life. In the early hours of the morning, while driving along the Sam Rayburn Tollway, a car pulled up alongside him and unleashed more than a dozen shots into his vehicle. Hit multiple times, Beezy miraculously survived, though his injuries were severe. Authorities quickly responded to the scene, finding Beezy wounded but still conscious. He was rushed to a nearby hospital where he received emergency treatment. News of the shooting spread rapidly, with fans and fellow rappers flooding social media with reactions. Many speculated that this was direct retaliation for Roy Lee's death, given the rising tensions in the city. In an interview with The Breakfast Club, Beezy later recalled the terrifying moment. He explained that he had noticed suspicious cars trailing him after leaving a club and had been on high alert.
This wasn't just
But by the time he realized he was being followed,
on high alert.
it was
When he
already
realized
too
he was
late.
being followed, it was already too late.
Gunfire
The
had
gunfire had
erupted.
erupted.
My phone. Listen, I get out the car, I start running. You know what I'm saying? I get out the car, I start running.
Were they chasing?
Nah, I think they were gone. You know what I'm saying? But I ain't know. Like I just know somebody came over South Dakota Street.
As Beezy recovered, Mo3 remained silent about the incident. When pressed in interviews, he dodged questions about the shooting, making it clear he had no intention of discussing the situation publicly. While Beezy was still recovering from his injuries, another incident further escalated the war between him and Mo3. In July 2019, both rappers were booked to perform at the Unruly Citizens Festival at the Ford Center. However, when Mo3 arrived at the venue, he was met by police officers who informed him that he would not be allowed to enter. Meanwhile, Yella Beezy was permitted to perform without issue. Outraged, Mo3 took to Instagram Live to vent his frustration. In the video, he accused Beezy and his team of using law enforcement to keep him out of the event, further fueling the already intense rivalry between them.
They got me in the car. You had beef with a rapper. I don't have beef with no. Well, that's what him and his team is saying. Him and his team are telling us that they don't want to be near you.
However, Yella Beezy quickly fired back, dismissing Mo3's claims as desperate attempts for clout. According to Beezy, Mo3 was never actually booked to perform at the festival in the first place. "Man, stop playing," Beezy scoffed in his response. "Ain't nobody on the same flyer as me." The back and forth didn't stop there. Trap Boy Freddy, another Dallas rapper aligned with Beezy, also chimed in, mocking Mo3 for allegedly faking an arrest to gain attention. "Look at the flyer, he wanna be relevant," Freddy laughed. 2 days after the festival, Beezy appeared on Vlad TV, where he was asked about the incident. When Vlad mentioned Mo3's name, Beezy smirked and replied with an air of defiance.
Who? Mo3. I don't know who that is.
This blatant dismissal only fueled Mo3's anger, leading him to release the track Let Me Find Out, in which he directly called out Yella Beezy. The diss track marked a turning point. No longer just jabs in interviews, Mo3 was now making it clear that he saw Beezy as an enemy. The feud had officially crossed into full-blown warfare. As the beef continued to escalate, it began to affect those around both Yella Beezy and Mo3. In January 2020, Mo3's manager, Brandon Rainwater, was brutally attacked outside the V-Live strip club in Dallas. Surveillance footage showed Yella Beezy and his entourage chasing Rainwater, pulling him to the ground and beating him in the middle of the street. Rainwater was left with a dislocated hip and later sued Beezy for $1 million in damages. Mo3 reacted to the attack on his manager during an Instagram live session, mocking Yella Beezy and his crew for jumping a scary man instead of handling their real issues.
Let me say this first. Rainwater, my manager, is not no street. Let me say it again. Rainwater, my manager, is not no street. He graduated high school and went to college. Sir, you get what I'm saying?
The attack on Rainwater was a clear indication that the beef had reached a dangerous new level, and it was only a matter of time before things would take an even darker turn. The death of Mo3, the murder of Mo3, marked the tragic and brutal conclusion to a feud that had escalated for years, though no one expected it to end in such a violent manner. On November 11, 2020, Mo3's life was cut short in a shocking ambush that played out in broad daylight on one of Dallas's busiest highways. That morning, Mo3 was driving along Interstate 35 near the Dallas Zoo, reportedly after leaving a female companion's house. Unbeknownst to him, 2 assassins had been tracking his every move. Following him in a black Chevrolet Camaro, the assassin's mission was clear. Mo3 wasn't meant to make it out alive. As he continued down the highway, the black Camaro suddenly pulled up beside him in what seemed like a planned attack, one that had been carefully executed with precision. Realizing he was being followed, Mo3 swerved to the right and slammed on his brakes in an attempt to escape. But on the busy freeway, he had nowhere to go. Dashcam footage later revealed the harrowing final moments of Mo3's life. Instead of driving off, he stepped out of his car and rushed toward the passenger side, seemingly attempting to retrieve something, likely a gun, from the glove compartment. But he never got the chance. A masked gunman, armed with an assault rifle, jumped out of the Camaro and charged toward Mo3's vehicle. With no weapon in hand, Mo3 made a split-second decision to run for his life. Mo3 sprinted down the highway, dodging between moving cars as desperate drivers tried to avoid the unfolding chaos. But the assassin was faster. Gunshots rang out and, in a matter of seconds, Mo3 was struck 9 times, collapsing onto the pavement as the masked shooter fled back to the Camaro. The getaway car sped off, leaving Mo3 bleeding out in the middle of the freeway. For several agonizing minutes, his body lay motionless as stunned witnesses looked on. Traffic came to a standstill as civilians rushed to his side, with one bystander administering CPR in a desperate attempt to save his life. But it was too late. News helicopters captured chilling aerial footage of the aftermath. Mo3's lifeless body sprawled across the highway, surrounded by law enforcement as they secured the scene. Soon after, local news stations began broadcasting reports of the brazen assassination. Mo3 was only 28 years old. His death shocked the rap world, leaving fans, family, and friends devastated. What had started as a rap beef had turned into a deadly street war, one that claimed the life of one of Dallas's most talented artists. But the story didn't end there. Mo3's murder sent ripples through the city of Dallas, and while his fans mourned, his enemies wasted no time adding fuel to the fire. Mere minutes after the freeway shooting, Trap Boy Freddy posted a video to his Instagram story, appearing to be stuck in the traffic jam caused by Mo3's death. Sirens blared in the background as Trap Boy Freddy casually remarked, "Freeway blocked out." Many quickly pointed out that Freddy's location in the post was just minutes away from where Mo3's lifeless body lay on the road. To make matters worse, Freddy also posted tributes to his own fallen friends shortly after Mo3's murder, then later claimed it was time to celebrate. Meanwhile, YellaBeezy went live on Instagram, and his comment section exploded with accusations. Fans flooded his feed, demanding to know whether he had a hand in Mo3's death. Rather than respond directly, Beezy played dumb, acting as if he had no idea what people were talking about. GoYayo also joined in on the mockery, responding to a Facebook post where someone said they wished it had been him who was killed instead. His response? "I'm going to live forever," followed by the hashtag #NaMurderGang, making it clear that he had no sympathy for Mo3's passing. Although there was no direct evidence linking YellaBeezy, Trap Boy Freddy or GoYayo to Mo3's assassination, their reactions painted a grim picture. The way they relished in his death only fueled speculation that they had inside knowledge of the hit. For many of Mo3's supporters, these taunts were enough to justify immediate retaliation. Within days, violence erupted across Dallas, with reports surfacing that as many as 8 people had been killed in the chaos that followed Mo3's death. While some claimed these were unrelated incidents, others believed they were direct acts of revenge. The situation escalated so much that even Boozy, Mo3's mentor and frequent